Well, welcome everyone to a special edition of What Women Want tonight. I'm very excited to be interviewing my husband, Simon Wilkins. So, welcome.
Thanks.
In all this time that we've been doing What Women Want, this is the first time we've actually had you on the show or the program. So, thank you very much for being here. And what I thought that people would like to hear about is really some tips that things that I think that people are all dealing with, no matter what your background is, where you are in Australia, or around the world. Most people are dealing with some kind of stress of some kind, and maybe finding themselves in situations that you didn't think that you would find yourself in. And so one of the reasons that I wanted to interview you tonight was because you're very good at dealing with unusual, different situations in your business, thinking on your feet. You're very calm in all situations. There's very few times that you actually get ruffled or
True.
upset. Um, and so the other really good thing that you're really good at too is in your business. So there's I was saying to someone today, there's lots of things I could say about my husband, but the one thing is that he's a very good businessman. And so, but just to rewind a little bit, take us back to when we were first married. Um, we didn't have a whole lot back then, and when you get married and you go, oh, I didn't know about you before we got married. Well, one thing I didn't know is that I was marrying into a lot of debt. We had I inherited a lot of debt when we got married, and so we spent the first few years working through that and paying off some debt. So I don't know if you can relate to that, but sometimes you have to, we started at really ground zero. And I came in from a previous marriage, so I had a child. So that was new for you. And we kind of worked through it, didn't we? We worked through a few things. My business, you didn't have a business then. What were you doing? Tell us about what life was like for us when we first were married.
So, I think I was working for a charity actually at the time. So I used to do face-to-face fundraising. So those, those guys that stand on the street that chase you to donate to charities, the charity muggers, whatever they're called. I was doing that.
Oh, that's how we met.
That's how I first met Kelly, actually. You always go for the pretty girls, right? And so then after that, I actually started working for charities directly. So doing that. But unfortunately, I wasn't really great with money at that time. I thought credit cards were brilliant, and so were personal loans. And when you have a little bit of a job and no debt, people just want to throw money at you left, right, and center. So I think when we got married, I had like 140 grand's worth of debt, I think, something like that.
Ooh, that's heavy.
And I thought Kelly was loaded. So on the opposite side of things, I thought she was a millionaire. Turns out she didn't have any money either. So we really started with kind of nothing and paying off debt. And you know what's really funny? Like I used to say this, right? Being in debt is actually really easy because, and when I say that, like I mean it like because you have all these bills that come in that you have to pay, and then whatever's left over is whatever you've left over that you've got to do with, right? So it's like you don't have any control over your money. Actually, when you start making money and getting money, it's actually more difficult because you got to work out, well, what's the best option for my money? Where do I put it?
Oh, you're talking about being responsible.
Yeah, something like that. So initially, I think I started doing a lot of personal development stuff and realizing that this was not going to get me where I wanted to get myself to. And then I think I just put in a really simple process, which was, and I got into it. I learned all about interest rates and late payment fees and da. And so then it was like, right, what's my highest credit card? And I think at the time, I think I had an Amex, and I think it was like 24% interest or something like that I was paying on it. And then you get into it and you realize that the way credit cards are designed is that you pay the minimum amount. And I think nowadays they've changed the regulations. So on a credit card statement, they have to put how long it would take you to pay off that credit card paying the minimum. And I'd worked out that it was going to be like 27 years if I was just paying the minimum. So simple process in place, looked at the highest one that had the highest amount of credit and threw everything at that. Once I paid that off, I took the money that I was putting on that card, put it on the next highest one, and so on and so forth. And basically managed to wipe out our debt in about 5 years pretty quickly, really. So that was kind of cool because then it meant we had money. And I bought.
Well, so 5 years. So you're jumping 5 years down the track. You were still working in charity then?
Still working in charity, but at that time we'd put a bit of money aside. Actually, I had an uncle pass away in the UK and got a little bit of inheritance through from him. And I thought, I'm going to be really smart with this and do something smart. So I actually, we wanted to buy our own place, but we just couldn't afford where we wanted to live. So we ended up buying our very first investment property, which was probably about 10 years ago, I reckon we probably bought our very first one. So we bought that small investment.
Sense. We've been married 15 years.
Yeah, needed to do it. And then I kept working in the charity space. And then eventually moved over to working in property. So started working for a company, got headhunted over to them. Everyone thought I was going to die in the charity world. The charity world is very hard to get out of once you get into it. It's very hard. It's very cliquey, right? You move around charity to charity. But anyway, I took $100,000 pay cut and went from a salary to pretty much a very, very low base and commission, which was a massive thing for us guys, because it was like, where's the bit of pressure, right? There's nothing wrong with backing yourself into a corner, I reckon. So I did that for about 3 years, enjoyed that, learned everything there was to know about property. And my biggest thing was I had to do it with integrity. I came from a background of integrity and charity where it's all about transparency and honesty. And then I went into the real estate world, and I very quickly learned that there are a lot of very shonky people in the real estate industry, as you can imagine. I'm a salesperson myself, and I used to come out of some sales meeting with some developers, and I used to feel like I needed to go and have a shower because they were just so slimy, so up themselves about how great they were. It was just like, oh man.
That's coming from you.
His
nickname was Simon.
When they're talking to you about how many sales they made and how much commission they got and rah, and
that was your pickup line with me.
That was how many sales I made and how much commission I got.
How much money you had.
Yeah. Well,
so you come a long way on all your business.
You got to sell at certain points, right? I was selling myself. And so, from that, I got to a point. It's really funny, actually. So I've been running my own business now for over 3 years, and I think we're very successful. I've got 4 staff now. And the way I actually ended up starting my business was I actually got fired from my old business, which was interesting. And I actually got fired because I didn't hit their sales target, and I was like 2 sales off hitting their sales target for the year. And I actually got fired. And I remember coming home that day, and it was a bit of a surprise, to be honest with you. I came home and I sat down. I went, I just got fired. What am I going to do now? And I thought, I can either go back to the normal corporate charity world, which I could do, or I could start my own business. I'm like, all right, let's start my own business. So I registered the name the next day, and it was literally like the chicken and the egg. So I was lucky that a lot of my partners who I'd built up over many years came across and started working with me. But I was literally like, got my first client, was like, right, I need a client questionnaire. Okay, better make up a client questionnaire, and then sent it out, and then got the first client through. And then it was like, okay, what's the process for me? Okay, I need this document, and I need to. So I literally just built the business from just kind of working my way through it. And then to where we are today, and we're a very successful business, and we have a lot of referral partners that refer their clients through to us. We've got clients who are on property number 2, number 3 with us now.
Yes. So you are just go back though and just tell us, like, when you feel like you're in a corner
Yeah.
and you feel like that's, it's like, okay, because there's been a few transition moments, and thank goodness, like, we can sit here and say, everything's going really well now, but we have been through those times where it's been like, whoa, guys, we're eating very poor tonight. Just so you know, don't be asking for very much, because there's not a whole lot in the bank. And it was tough going through those moments where it's like, okay, what do we do next? So just for those who are watching, who are like, I'm faced with, I might be losing my job. I'm faced with, I've just maybe had a diagnosis that I did not like the sound of. I'm faced with a relationship bust up that's been, that's been really tough, or those transition moments. So when you're feeling really low, what's
Yeah.
your where do you
What's
go?
my go-to? All right. So my very first year of running the business was hell. Right? People always talk about, oh, how good it is now, but the first year of it was hell. I made a few sales, which was great, but the problem was the money wasn't coming in. Like, the sales were like, I wasn't going to get paid for like 3 months, 6 months. And it was really tough. Like, I actually have a screenshot of my bank account on my wall to remind me how tough it was. And I think we had $4.31 in savings. I had to borrow money from my mother-in-law. I borrowed money from my mum to get us through.
Thank you, mums.
Thank you, mums. And that was, for me, the first thing was, that was a really humbling experience for me to actually ask for help, because I am someone that does not ask for help. So my number one thing is when you get stressed or think it's all too much, first thing is actually reach out to the people that you think can help you. So I'm really lucky as well that I have a lot of really close friends who are in business that I can talk to, throw ideas about. So I think the number one thing was to really reach out when that was going on. And then for me, I have certain things I do to deal with stress. I have my wife. So for me, a movie, like, seriously, if it all gets too much, a movie for a couple of hours just to switch off my brain, just to get into a different world. Perfect, right? Like, I know I can come back to everything later on at the end of the movie. And
It's a man cave.
It's
thing.
a man cave thing. And fishing is my other real passion that I absolutely love. And this lockdown at the moment is killing that. But those are the things, is like, work out the things that you can do for yourself, because I think the number one thing is to look after yourself first. Like, make sure you can do that, right?
If you need to go do your nails, do that.
Do you know whatever it is,
Take a bath.
So to put it that way, that first year I watched a lot of movies. I watched a lot of movies, right?
It's like, is with this business getting off the ground, are we watching movies here?
Yeah. And then there's a few other things that I've always remembered. Like, one thing is I think 95% of things that people worry about are outside of their control. So what I always focus on is, well, what is inside of my control? There's no point worrying about something that I can't control, right? So, like, I don't know, like a client's not happy with the color of I had a client once not happy with the color of their bricks. I can't control the color of your bricks. Like, I can sit there worrying about it, but I can't. So rather than worrying about it, I'm like, well, what's the solution? How do we move forward? How do we push through this? How do we go forward, right? So I'm very solutions orientated. That's a good thing in some levels. On others, I've learned that, with my teenage daughter, for instance, and I hope she never watches this, with a teenage daughter, I've discovered that being solutions focused is not actually the best option at the first go. It's cuddles, it's understanding, it's empathy, and then when they're ready, you can give them some options. So you got to understand those things. And then the other biggest thing for me is knowing that pretty much every trial you go through has a finite amount of time to it. It doesn't last forever. It will always end at some point, right? So I've always focused on that, and running a business is really tough because there's always things to deal with, always things to put out, fires to put out, and working with stuff. But looking back on it, everything's always finished at some point. Like, it doesn't go on forever and ever. And
everything is figure-outable.
Figure-outable, right? And then I guess the last thing for me is I've worked at many different charities. I've worked at the Royal Institute for Deaf and Blind Children. I've worked at Multiple Sclerosis Australia. I've worked for the Cancer Council. I work for the Children's Cancer
Institute.
Children's Cancer Institute, Amnesty International. Like, I know the facts and figures around the world of everything that can go on to human beings. And, at the end of the day, that really grounds you and gives you a perspective on life. Like, if you're healthy, you're actually very lucky. And I've seen people lose loved ones from cancer, and kids, who are blind, kids that can't, there's no choice for them in that, right? It is just what it is, right? Same with our son, he's got type 1 diabetes. He's always going to have that. Whether he likes it or not, that's what it is, right? And even with that, I put a perspective on it, like going, Zach, I've seen kids that have got a lot worse. You're lucky there's a manageable thing for this. So I think when you go through it, sometimes it can feel like, it's the biggest thing in the world and it's right there on your face and you can't get through, and it's so big. But when you scale it down, you can kind of put it into some sort of perspective. Sometimes that really helps me to just kind of go, okay, it's not the end of the world. And I can just slowly work my way through this and get out the other side. So
very good.
It's kind of my stuff.
Yes, I like that, because when you realize it's not going to last forever, someone else framed it this week. It was like in a video that I watched, it was like, I haven't got enough money in the bank yet. If you put the yet, it's like it's what it's coming. Better things are coming, and it's still on its way. So just keep looking for that. So I just want to bring up one other thing that you are amazing at.
And only one?
Only one. And it's probably another one of your how to deal with things techniques, and whether it's sometimes it's like not good, but there's this thing that we do in our house, and Simon has called it the Scooby-Doo technique. So I want you to share with them, what is the Scooby-Doo technique?
The Scooby-Doo technique. Okay, so for those of you who love Scooby-Doo, and I don't watch it that often, but I love Scooby-Doo, whenever the monster always chases them around and tries to catch them, Scooby and Shaggy always just do something completely out of the box, stupid, and the monster just goes, what the heck is going on here? And always gets confused about it. So I call that the Scooby-Doo technique. I do it all the times with the kids. It's like we're in the middle of the biggest argument or row or something or other like that, and you just do something that's completely irrelevant or random or outside of the box, or you just go, did anyone see that pig go by? Did you see that pig fly by? Who saw the pig? Did anyone see the pig? Random. It just snaps everybody out of it all the time.
It cuts the tension. It cuts the train of thought, and people are like, you can actually, the monster gets a little bit mad, like, you're interrupting me at the moment in my height. But it really does work.
Works every time. Scooby-Doo technique. It's awesome. Try it on your kids just for a laugh. But literally in the middle of a tantrum, just do something randomly crazy or something or other, and they just go, what's going on?
Actually, we're taught that in the field of special needs, is if you have toddlers especially, carry around a bottle of bubbles. And if they start chucking a tantrum in the middle of the store, you pull out the bubbles and you just blow bubbles over them. And then whether or not it soothes the child, it doesn't matter. It makes it look like to the shoppers passing by that you've got this all under control. And you don't have to fight with your child. You don't have to say anything. It's just another Scooby-Doo technique.
Yeah. So it's like if the wife is like having to go at me because I didn't do the kitchen, and she's going, you didn't do the kitchen. I go, sweetie, you look beautiful. Have you done something different with your skin? you look gorgeous tonight.
It
They're
happens,
like,
doesn't it?
what? Yeah, yeah. I mean, it gets you out of trouble, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes,
yeah.
maybe.
Sometimes we see it coming.
But yeah, definitely Scooby-Doo technique. I haven't
Works
tried
on
it
the
on
kids.
everybody, but it certainly works on kids, and most of the time it works on your other halves.
Yeah, it's this is not a business technique.
No. I don't do it
Don't
with my
use.
clients. Sign here. No, it's fine. No, don't do it with my clients. But yeah, it does. It does work, and I guess it lightens everything a little bit and takes the pressure off. And then you just can come back to it later on and go, yeah, all right, okay. Sorry, I didn't do the washing up. I'll go do it.
All right. So then, just to finish off, so that people understand, tell us about the kinds of clients that you work with and what you do for them.
Okay, so we run quite a boutique investment and owner occupier company. So we help clients buy their own homes, so house and land. We also help a lot of our clients invest into property as well, all up and down Sydney, Brisbane, and Melbourne. We've been doing that for about 3 years. We're very boutique. We package up for our clients. We look for that specially. We've got probably only about 70 brokers, accountants that refer their clients through to us. But I really go by the model that I wouldn't put a property in front of a client that I would not buy myself. And believe me, if I'd bought all of my clients, I've bought a lot of properties. If I bought all my clients' property, I'd be a very, very wealthy man by now. But that's what we've stuck with our philosophy on, and just being open in have integrity. Yeah,
That's one of the things that I really like about your process, is that you really interview the person, you find out exactly where they're at, what their needs are, what they're looking for, what they want to get out of it, and make sure that you tailor the property to giving them the financial rewards that they after. Maybe they want to live in it, maybe they don't want to live in it, they just want to invest. And it can be, well, you kind of research the areas, right? But it's going to be the kind of property that's going to serve them the best, and it's not just the thing that's being sold everywhere.
Yeah, no, we avoid a lot of the areas where normal people would go and invest into. So, our clients are doing really, really well. I mean, the property market's growing anyway, but they've done really well. And now we have clients who, as I said, up to property number 2 and 3. I've got one client that's referred his dad, who's like 65, who's bought his property through us because they want to retire. We've got clients as young as 20. Actually, my youngest client was 17, 3 sisters, 17, 18, and 19, bought their first investment property with me. And it was a little townhome for 400 grand. And that's now in year and a half worth $520,000. So they've made 120 grand, these 3 girls, which is, just great for kids that young to start setting themselves up.
Well, thank you for this interview, Simon.
Pleasure.
And as we wrap up, you can see how busy. I wanted to say, like, I am not there to support you in your business. You do that 100% you. And so as much as I back you and when we were going through that transition and said, no, you should really do your own business, I think you'd be amazing at that. But how you've created it and set it up, that's all you. And I guess how I do Arbonne and my business, that's all me, because we just are 2 very, very different businesses and operating in the same office.
Yeah, I'm going to make her rich and retire on our properties, which we're doing very well on. And Kelly's going to make sure I still look young and handsome while I'm rich. So I don't get old and fat and ugly and rich. I stay young and good looking and rich.
All the time. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, works well.
It works well. And thank you to all of our families and all those who have supported us over the years as well, and to our kids who are now learning how to feed themselves.
Yeah, actually, thank you, because we had both the mums support us financially when we really needed it, and even the grandma chipped in some money when we really needed it as well. And so without them, you'll pay them all back. Without them, we really wouldn't have done it. And I must say, the support of someone else to push you on those days when, and this is what I think is good about being a couple and being in business is, we make a rule that we're not allowed to have bad days in the business together. You're not allowed that, right? We're not allowed to do that. So if I have a bad day, she's not allowed to. If she has a bad day, I'm not allowed to. So that then that way we're both there to G each other up and go, no, come on, it's just a bad day. You can do it. So we have a rule. No one's allowed to have a bad day together. And that seems to work pretty well.
It's worked for a long time. I haven't thought about that for a long time.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else we do really good together?
Yeah, but we want to keep this
no, I mean
PG rated.
I didn't really like that.
No, we parent terribly.
No.
You do most of the parenting. I just shout at them when they're not doing what you want them to do. We do parenting terribly. Keeping our house tidy, we don't do that very good either. Especially with lockdown, we haven't got Christy coming over to clean anymore. But our kids are happy. They are very happy kids, and they do love us to bits. And I think that at the end of the day, I'd happily settle for an untidy house, as long as my kids feel loved and safe, which they do. That's all I'm concerned about.
Yes, and we thank the Lord above for blessing us throughout our journeys in marriage and in business. And to wrap that up, thank you everyone for watching tonight. I hope that you have taken something away out of this for yourself, whether it be the Scooby-Doo technique or the staying calm, or just realizing that whatever you're going through at the moment, if it's not great, there is an end to it. But also, if you are on a high and things are going well, you do need to prepare for that rainy day. And I'm a great believer in being prepared, and don't rest on your laurels. So there's that as well. So anyway, thank you for watching. Stay well, be